Hello, my name is Chissa. I am a licensed tour guide in Japan. Today we will visit one of the most tragic places in human history, Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park. What you will see here is painful and difficult, but it is very important to learn. By learning about this tragedy, we remind ourselves of the value of peace, and we understand our responsibility to protect it. We are now here in Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park. Now I have to talk about that day. It was 8:15 in the morning on August 6, 1945. A hot summer day in Hiroshima. The night before there had been an air raid warning, and many people spent the night in shelters. But around 7 a.m. the warning was cancelled, so families returned home quickly, ate breakfast and began their day. Adults went to work and children went to school. Some people noticed the sound of a single airplane, but since there was no alarm, they paid little attention. High above the city, the American B-29 bomber Enola Gay flew into position. The crew confirmed their target, the T-shaped IOE bridge at the center of Hiroshima. Then the atomic bomb, Little Boy, was released. It detonated about 600 meters above the ground. In an instant, the city was struck by a blinding flash and a thunderous blast. No one understood what had happened. Soon, a massive mushroom cloud rose into the sky, turning it as dark as night, and then black rain began to fall. On the ground, the devastation was beyond imagination. Houses were flattened into debris. Survivors, terribly burned, stumbled through the ruins. Some cried out for water. Others jumped into rivers already full of bodies. Many walked with their arms raised, so their hanging skin would not touch their bodies. Some survivors even testified that people's eyes and organs had come out from their bodies. It was truly a vision of hell on earth. By the end of that day, an estimated 70,000 lives had been lost, with tens of thousands more injured. By December of that year, the death toll had risen to about 140,000. Now, before we move to the atomic bomb dome, let me show you this map of the hypercenter. This is the T-shaped bridge, their target. The bomb exploded about 600 meters above this point, almost directly over the Shima Hospital here, and just a short distance from here stands the atomic bomb dome, only 160 meters from hypercenter. It was originally the Hiroshima Prefectural Promotion Center. It was designed by a Czech architect, Jen Ledzel, and completed in 1915. At that time, it was rare in Japan to see a Western-style building, made of reinforced concrete and steel. Hiroshima was already a thriving commercial city, so this modern exhibition hall was built to promote local industries and international trade. Inside it hosted art shows, trade fairs, and cultural events symbolizing Hiroshima's prosperity. When the bomb exploded, the blast came almost directly from above. That is why the central framework of the dome remained standing in its skeletal form. If the blast had come from the side, the entire structure would have been blown away instantly. Today the dome stands as a symbol of both destruction and survival. It is preserved as a UNESCO World Heritage Site to remind future generations of the tragedy of nuclear war. This is the Children's Peace Monument. It is dedicated to Sadako Sasaki, a young girl who became a symbol of peace when the atomic bomb fell. Sadako was only 2 years old. She lived about 1.6 kilometers from the hypercenter. Her mother was exposed to the bomb, but Sadako herself appeared to be unharmed. She grew up to be a very active and cheerful child. At school, she loved sports, and she was especially fast at running. But 10 years later, when she was 12 years old, she developed leukemia. Of course, she wanted to live. At that time, she heard the legend that folding 1,000 paper cranes could make a wish come true. She folded not just 1,000, but more than 1,000 cranes. However, she passed away after 10 months of illness. Her story reminds us that the suffering of the atomic bomb victims did not end on that single day. Many survivors continued to suffer from after effects for the rest of their lives. They also faced discrimination, and even today, their children and grandchildren still live under the shadow of those consequences. After Sadako's death, her classmates raised money to build this monument. Since then, many school children from across Japan visit here on school trips. They learn about the horrors of nuclear weapons, hold ceremonies, sing songs for peace, and pledge to work for a peaceful future. They also bring colorful paper cranes, folded with prayers for peace, and dedicate them here when you visit this monument.
Please ring the peace bell with your own wish.
For a world without nuclear weapons. This is the peace flame. It was first lit in 1964, and it has been burning continuously ever since. The flame symbolizes the strong wish for a world free of nuclear weapons. It will only be extinguished when all nuclear weapons on Earth are abolished. Just 2 years ago, the Japan Confederation of ANH bomb sufferers organizations received the Nobel Peace Prize for its efforts. However, looking at today's world situation, it still seems very difficult to imagine this flame being extinguished soon. Every year, people from around the world visit here, look at this flame, and reflect on the importance of peace. It reminds us that the tragedy of Hiroshima must never be repeated. This is the cenotaph. Its official name is the Memorial Monument for Hiroshima City of Peace. The arch-shaped stone monument was built in 1952 to honor the victims of the atomic bomb. Beneath it lies a stone chest that holds a registry of names. The registry contains the names of those who died on that day, and also those who later died from injuries and radiation sickness. New names are added every year. And now, as of 2025, the list contains about 350,000 souls. On the front, there is an inscription, "Let all the souls here rest in peace, for we shall not repeat the evil." The arch shelters the spirits of the victims. When you stand here, you can see the peace flame and the atomic bomb dome lined up through the arch. Every year on August 6th, a memorial ceremony is held here. The mayor of Hiroshima, the governor of Hiroshima Prefecture, the Prime Minister of Japan, ambassadors, survivors, and their families gather. A moment of silence is observed at 8:15 a.m. The exact time the bomb was dropped. Speeches are given by the mayor, the governor, and the Prime Minister. The mayor and governor speak strongly for the abolition of nuclear weapons. But the Prime Minister often reflects Japan's position under the nuclear umbrella. This difference in tone becomes a topic of discussion every year. This is the Peace Memorial Museum. Here, you can see and learn what really happened in Hiroshima. First, there are exhibits showing Hiroshima before and after the bombing. You can see how a lively city was turned into ruins in an instant. Then, images and videos explain how the atomic bomb was dropped and exploded. You will see personal belongings left behind by victims, such as a burned school uniform, a lunchbox, and a tricycle. These items remind us that every victim was an individual with a life and family. Survivors' drawings show the horrific scenes they witnessed. There are exhibits about the long-lasting effects of radiation, such as burns and leukemia. Sadako Sasaki's story is also introduced here. The museum shares the stories of families torn apart and separated forever. It reminds us that the suffering continued long after that day. Finally, the museum explains the nuclear age after Hiroshima. It shows how countries developed nuclear weapons and how people worldwide continue to work for their abolition. The museum helps us understand the true human cost of nuclear war. It inspires us to think about building a peaceful future. Alright, before we finish, let me finally answer the big question. Why was Hiroshima chosen for the first target of the atomic bomb? Because it was a major military center. and had not been heavily bombed yet. This allowed the US to clearly observe the effects of the atomic bomb. Its location and layout made it ideal for measuring the damage. The US also believed that using the bomb would help bring the war to a quicker end, without a costly invasion of Japan. Thank you very much for watching this guiding video of Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park. What happened here is one of the most frightening tragedies in human history. No matter how carefully we explain it, we can never fully convey the real horror of that day. Today, as the survivors grow older, very few are still able to share their experiences in person. That is why we must never forget. It is our responsibility to pass on these memories to people around the world and to the next generation. Only by remembering can we prevent such a tragedy from ever happening again. Let us all continue to work together for peace. On this channel, I'll keep sharing Japan's fascinating spots, with their hidden stories, and a little fun along the way. So please, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. See you again in the next video. Travel Japan with Stories.